Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Tuesday morning to you all. Hope you guys are doing awesome out there this morning and having a wonderful start to your day and a great week out there so far. Man, do we have a ton of information to go over in this morning's video, as overnight into this morning's model guidance continues to like the idea of not only very cold air spilling down to a lower 48 as we get into this weekend, into early next week, but also winter storm chances. And once again, these winter storm chances could be very far south, all the way up the eastern seaboard. So we're going to get very detailed on all the information that we know. The first thing we'll get focused in on is these temperatures. Second thing will be the winter storm chances. We'll go over all model guidance. And just remember, the things that I discuss in this video is not a forecast. I've been saying this over the last few days on my channel. Phase one is figuring out the pattern. And that's not only speaking on winter weather, that's speaking on, the tropics when you're tracking a tropical system, severe weather. Does the pattern support the weather we're speaking on, right? And it does. We can check that off the box. Phase one is checked off, in my opinion. Phase two is, what about a winter storm? And I would say we haven't completely checked off that box yet, but we're in the process of doing so. And we'll speak on that. Phase three is, okay, we know there's a winter storm coming. What about ice, snow totals? So we're not even close to that yet. So we're going to speak on all this, and at the very end of the video, we will get detailed as far as what's going to happen weather-wise for your Tuesday across the entire lower 48. Timestamps are up throughout the entire video. Utilize them. They're there to help you guys out, because I know my videos are very long. If you guys have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. And if anybody has anything that I can pray about or pray over, please put it in the comments below. And I do have Rocket behind me, my cat. He is visiting us for this morning's video. So if you see any movement, just a cat. So let's get rocking and rolling this morning. So we're going to start off how we've been starting it off. And that is from the experts, the Climate Prediction Center, National Weather Service. And we're only going to focus in on the 6 to 10 day time frame. So this takes us from the 19th through the 23rd, which in my opinion will be a very, I would say the time frame has definitely got a lot of people's interest as far as the peak of the cold and winter storm chances. So right now, in this darker shade of purple, so we have a 90% chance of temperatures being below normal. This other shade of purple, some people might call that navy blue, 80% chance of temperatures being below normal. And they update this every afternoon, okay, every day. So we'll see what it looks like as we get into, this afternoon, but I don't expect much change except higher confidence for cold. And then we get to this shade of blue here. That's a 60% chance of temperatures being below normal, and this is a 50. And you can see it down here, how it lightens up in the blue in Florida. But the core of the coldest air is going to be right across central, east central, and even the eastern U.S. as we get between the 19th through the 23rd. Now, you freeze this image in your head, okay, and let's look at the precipitation outlook in the same time, the same time frame. Okay, leaning towards drier conditions in this sort of tan sand color, browner shade, even higher confidence for drier conditions. But this could change even today. I mean, there's a 40% chance, say, in this brown area of precipitation being below normal. That could be rain, sleet, freezing rain, snow, thunderstorms. It could be many things, okay? I know you see green and you immediately probably think rain. That's not the case. You get into this grayed out area, this is where they're kind of leaning towards average precipitation. It could lean one way or the other. Then we get into the green, this light shade of green, which is here, here, and here. That's a 33% chance of precipitation being above normal. But you just saw the temperature outlook, which is leaning towards, not leaning, they're calling for below average temperatures. This could even mean winter weather even down here in the green area. And I know you're thinking, man, that's really far south. Yes, I know, but the pattern supports this. And I'm about to show you all the model guidance that supports it also. Then we get this darker shade of green. Hey, that's a 40% chance of precipitation being above normal in this colder period. And unfortunately, it remains dry out west because you will have a bit of a ridge in place, and we need the rain across Southern California. We know about the awful situation in LA with the fires, so we're definitely praying for you guys out there. I keep wanting to mention that at the very beginning of the video, but moving through this, we got this. Now, I want to show you this graphic. Okay, the National Weather Service issued this yesterday. So I always like to speak a lot on what the experts are saying first, and then I'll go into my takes and analyzing model guidance, okay? National Weather Service Climate Prediction Center issued this graphic yesterday. And you can see the logo and everything. Arctic air outbreak. anticipated for much of the central, eastern, and southern U.S. And, you can pause this. It, just talks about some things here, gives you some paragraphs. But the thing that I look at immediately is, while some moderation in temperatures may occur during the middle of next week, the overall pattern is anticipated to remain favorable for additional cold air outbreaks into the lower 48 to close the month of January. So it's saying, hey, maybe model guidance does not support it, but it could be cold the remainder of the month. Okay, frozen precipitation is also possible in locations where moisture interacts with the cold air. And then it just talks about the question marks with all that. So let's speak on the temperatures. Let's speak on the central U.S. first. Now, this graphic confuses the mess out of people because they don't know a lot of people don't know what their average temperatures are for this time of the year. So, there's ways to check that out, but I'll try to speak on different areas as we go here. But we're starting this off Saturday, January the 18th. There's time frames up here. This is in 1 day period. So this is the period between Friday morning and Saturday morning, the 17th through the 18th. So timestamp up here, and then it's up here too, because I'm going to forget to mention days. So you'll get a little bit of a warm-up. Enjoy it Friday and a Saturday for a lot of people. Okay, but watch how dramatically this changes. As we're starting to get into the 18th and the 19th, below average temperatures begin to take over. And the greens, that's anywhere from 10 to 15 degrees below average. You're probably going to have a warmish weekend across the deep south, even though you'll have to deal with rain. So it's not going to be where you walk outside. It's nice 65 degrees in January. You're going to have to probably deal with a lot of moisture and rain. But here comes the cold breaking out across the central portion of the country. And then we start to get into Sunday into Monday. Look at these anomalies here compared to average. You're starting to get 15 to 20 degrees below average down to Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, even colder. And then once you get into the high plains, listen, I cannot say this enough. The average high temperatures in the high plains are already like sub-freezing for this time of the year for a lot of people. So if you're getting temperatures that are 30 degrees below average and your high temperatures and like around 30 degrees, then I really think you have the possibility of high temperatures being below zero, negatives. Okay, so this colder outbreak is going to be intense. And then you continue to move forward, and then it reaches all the way to the deep south and areas of the mid-south. And, by the time we start to get into Monday and Tuesday of next week, the cold air is surging through the entire eastern U.S., but it just remains cold, anywhere from 10 to as much as 25 degrees below average. And then, sure, we can have a moderation period, a little bit more warmer air surges into the country, and a lot of times that happens. You have a big, gigantic Arctic outbreak, and then the entire North America is flooded with the Pacific air. It happens a lot, and maybe this happens after this, but it does show temperatures moderating after this. So, but then, hey, we get to that day 12 to 13 frame. It shows another cold, it shows more cold air oozing back in. So, listen, the pattern just supports cold blast after cold blast right now. It just does. It's a totally different than what we've seen the last few winters. It's like, hey, winter weather fans, you have complained enough. I'm about to unleash the Arctic on you. And it really has been. But this is probably going to be the coldest area of the season. And here we are in the eastern U.S. Includes the deep south, mid-south, Ohio Valley, northeast, all right? And once again, we're starting off in the day 4 to 5 time frame. This is like, I would say, Friday into Saturday, okay? And hey, there's your warming trend this weekend. Unfortunately, you're going to get rain with this. So even though it might get into the 60s, maybe even some 70s, you're probably going to have to deal with rain, and that stinks. But as we are moving into the Saturday and Sunday frame, you can see the colder than average temperatures beginning to creep in. Okay, and then we start to get into Sunday into Monday. They're starting to take over the deep south, the mid-south. All of a sudden, Tennessee goes from around average temperatures to 10 to 15 degrees below average. Look at the Midwest, the Ohio Valley, and then boom, this Arctic front moves in, and then it sets the stage for many other things afterwards, which we'll talk about here in a second. And then this is getting into Monday into Tuesday. Look how cold it is compared to your average temperatures. Look at this pocket of cold air right here, anywhere from 25 to 30 degrees below average. Your high temperatures are already around, average highs are already like in the 40s and 30s in this area of the country this time of the year. So your highs might be in the single digits, folks. Brutally cold. And this continues, and just, I don't know about historic cold for any given area. I wouldn't call it that. I use those words lightly, so I don't like to throw it around, but this is definitely going to be an Arctic outbreak. For sure. could moderate. But, as we start to get into the 22nd to the 23rd, it's still cold. It's not as cold. And then the grip of the coldest air begins to loosen up. And I think this will be a welcome sight for a lot of people. A nice little warm up. We're used to this. We call it the winter thaw, January thaw. And then, you never know when it's going to get cold in February again, which it seems like February has just been a non-existent winter month as of late. But anyways, just kind of one operational run of the Euro because you can see the cold front really well. This is getting into Saturday morning, January the 18th. Okay, this is getting into Sunday morning. You see all the cold air dropping down. This is getting into Monday. This is getting into Tuesday of next week. This is getting into Wednesday. For example, this is like around afternoon temperatures across the deep south, only in the 20s. It's not an official forecast. This cold could moderate, but boy, oh boy, is that cold. And then, might moderate some. We just have to watch. All right. Talked about temperatures enough. And we're probably going to start to talk about that less and less as we get closer to tracking a winter storm potential. So let's start it off with the GFS from overnight. Then we'll look at the latest GFS from this morning. And then we'll talk about the Euro. All right. So GFS from overnight. Here we go. I want to just show you how dramatically these can change run to run. We start off Fridays, the 17th. Look up here, FRI 17, and then you can look up here too. Don't focus too much on the time of the day, just the day. Okay, we start to get into Saturday. Here's our rainmaker. Unfortunately, we're going to get a warm up across the deep south, southeast, but you're going to have to deal with the rain too. So it's not going to be very pleasant at all. Well, we start to get into Saturday, and here's a little bit of snow, a little bit of winter weather breaking out across the Midwest, Ohio Valley. I don't think this is going to be a big deal, but you never know. This could trend into something more aggressive. You got this going on too. Then you got a little bit of snow riding down with the Arctic air. You can see all these blue lines. And then it goes to the orange lines. Just think of that as a lot of cold air dropping down. No point in getting super detailed about that. We've already talked enough about temperatures. But you continue, and I would think this first wave of precipitation along this boundary that's dropping down with this trough, that's dipping the jet, you're probably going to have a lot of interior northeast snow. The I-95 corridor probably going to see mainly rain from this. You could get some winter weather in the mountains as far south as North Carolina and Tennessee. And then what I watch for here is, as cold air continues to come down to Sunday, the 19th, low pressure does try to develop. And like right into here, for example, overnight, low pressure tries to develop and brings a little bit of snow like Sunday afternoon into northern North Carolina, not a forecast, and tries to do something interesting there. Not sure if that's going to happen. Runs overnight. Runs yesterday. We want to show a snowstorm for the I-95 corridor through the mid-Atlantic into the northeast, but that run dropped it. And then the cold air settles in. And then we start to get into next Monday, 6 days from now. And then that's when all eyes focus on energy that you can't see at first. But then watch as we continue to move this forward. So we're getting into next Monday, a little bit of winter weather showing up, blue, snow, freezing rains in the pink, and then sleets in the orange. And then look at that snow, very far south, breaking out across Louisiana, Texas. You continue to keep this going. And then, boom, shows a Georgia-Carolina special, and I will just kind of zoom into my folks here in the Carolinas. And this is for next Tuesday into Wednesday. Not a forecast, but the pattern does support it. I'm not saying it necessarily supports this storm, but it supports winter weather for the South. And that's that time frame I've been talking about, the kind of the 19th through the 23rd, 24th, I would say. And that's a pretty wide range, but I would say right in the middle of that time frame, really 21st, 22nd. Okay, big snowstorm. It's snowing out in the ocean. Okay, and so no point in harping on this long, talking about this long. It's not a forecast, guys. Please, it's not a forecast. But listen, the pattern supports winter weather for the South. Good old Carolina, classic winter storm, Georgia also, and it never makes it quite up into the Northeast. And I do want to keep this run going because I do think the potential is there for more winter weather afterwards. So we're getting into the end of next work week, 10 days out, and here's another winter weather event, but just more ice involved. So I think the pattern still supports it even after that time frame. Okay? Doesn't show a whole lot for the South Central U.S., but wait, there's more. Friday morning, same situation. We'll kind of work our way to that time period. I know a lot of people are probably saying, Mitch, just show us what we want to see. But I want to show my friends here in the Rockies and the Northeast too, because this first system can do something. Now, this is mainly a washout. This is Saturday, okay? There's some snow flying around in like Denver. I think you're getting a little accumulating snow as the cold air drops down. And then you continue, rain along the I-95 corridor, interior New England, Northeast, Mid-Atlantic, snow. Look at a little bit of moderate to light snow across Kentucky. This is getting like Saturday night. And then we have to watch for any kind of low that develops. We got this snow flying around Sunday morning, the 19th, across the Central Alps, basically. And then, look, I mean, it pops off some snow. I'm telling you, you got to watch before our main time period. That's why I'm showing it to you. It pops off some snow in the Delmarva, the Mid-Atlantic, basically. And listen, this could be an event. And then it brings the snow back into southern New England when the run overnight took it away. And, you know, this coming Sunday night into Monday, the 19th into the 20th, brings a swath of accumulating snow into Boston and surrounding areas. And then cold air coming down, and all of a sudden it drops the energy further west. And you start to get a winter storm breaking out across Texas. So all of a sudden, you know, Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas has kind of been, the models have been kind of not showing as much for you guys. But listen, I never said, for me, at least internally, I've never been thinking that the threat for winter weather has trended away from you guys. It's always still been there. The pattern supports it across the entire South. But watch what happens here. As you're moving forward here, huge winter storm breaks out across Texas, Louisiana. Remember the sleets in the orange, pink is freezing rain, blue is snow. And then look at this massive overrunning event. You know, not a forecast, but you know, you got winter weather from Brownsville, Texas, all the way into Wilmington, North Carolina. And to keep this going, this begins to head out of Texas. This is like the 21st into the 22nd, the same time period we like. Now we'll start to zoom into the eastern U.S., and this is the run from this morning, and it just shows just a ridiculous winter storm for the southern tier of the country. I mean, when I tell you this is like a ridiculous storm, I mean, it truly is. The amount of sleet accumulations it shows with this model run is absolutely insane. And you think, oh, well, this stinks. This is a bunch of sleet. But, you know, there's no point in getting super detailed about this. This is a bomb of snow in the blue, bomb of sleet in the orange, and just a nasty ice storm in the pink. And it is just a ridiculous storm system. But you know what's wild about that is you think, why in the world are we getting so much sleet? I want to show you the temperatures in the heart of the system right here. Like, this is the heart of the system, right? And let's get a little bit closer. I want to tell you how wild these runs are. Okay, let's back it up one run. So this is like next Wednesday morning, not a forecast. And you're thinking, okay, sleeting, it must be like in the low 30s, right? Wrong. It's pouring sleet at 22 degrees in Columbia. And that, so you look at that and you get excited as a winter weather fan, just in general, right? But I would say pump the brakes, because we're not trending one way or the other. And what I would say is on the GFS, the latest trends have been to drop the energy, if there's any trend at all, to drop the energy a little bit too far west. So you see a massive winter storm here, but the next run, if you continue the trend, you could all of a sudden be dealing with rain in some of the areas that are dealing with sleet and freezing rain. And this could buckle the ridge. You can already see a little bit of a ridge flex with this. So I say that to, hey, you don't want to drop the energy too far west if you're a southeast winter fan. If you're a southern plains winter fan, you want to drop the energy further west. So that's a totally different evolution than, say, the GFS from overnight and the GFS in the runs prior. So there's no point in being worried or overly excited if you're a winter weather fan or not. Let's look at the Euro. The Euro, I'm going to tell you right off the dot, continues to be suppressed in that time period, but let's work our way to it. First storm system this weekend, doesn't do a whole lot. Then there's that possibility as we're getting into Sunday the 19th into the 20th for a little bit of a quick hitting coastal low to develop. And then the cold air drops down. Okay, where's that winter storm? It's nowhere. The only area you see snow flying around is in southern Texas. Now you say, well, what's the issue? Well, there's a ton of energy on the table. It's just up above. Or you can say under the hood, in this case, over the hood. But there's a lot of energy that you cannot see here that's dropping down, but it's still suppressed. A lot of energy still suppressed. And to me, I love that for a winter weather fan. I want to keep this suppressed for as long as possible. as cool as it is to see these fancy runs from the GFS and even from the Euro a couple days ago, you want to wait before we start pumping an amped up system, because in this case, you could say on this model run, this is not Mitch saying this, on this model run, you would say, hey, it's too cold for any winter weather. And that's actually not the correct thing to say. It's just that the high pressure is really just squashing energy into the Gulf of Mexico. But another way to say it is it's just too cold to snow, but that's technically not it. It could be too dry to snow. But anyways, this is the same time period. Like, you look at this and then you compare it against the GFS. This is what the GFS is showing in that time period. Then the Euro doesn't show anything at all. So there's energy there. So I want to show you the Euro AI model too. The Euro AI model follows the GFS, and I don't like that. But it's still so far out. But I mean, it wants to really have an amped up system. You already can see the 0 degree line way up here. So you got all this moisture coming in. This is next, for example, this is like next Wednesday, kind of around the same period, just a little bit later. And you got all this moisture moving into the sub-freezing air, but aloft in the upper levels of the atmosphere, it's too warm for snow. So the Euro AI model, to me, if you would reflect this to actual precipitation types, this would probably be a lot of sleet and freezing rain. Maybe snow on the upper edge of this system. This would be a big, nasty, wintry mixed storm. It's a really amped up system, but yeah, you don't want to get this. I'll be honest. Before I move to the ensembles, I'll say this. If someone who lives in central South Carolina, I'm going to be greedy with this system. I was reminded with this last system this past Friday of how depressing sleet and freezing rain is. I was one of them people that's like, I love winter weather so much, I'll take anything. I'd rather not have freezing rain, but I'll take anything. I just love it so much. It's exciting. It's fun tracking it. But seeing and being reminded of how depressing it is, I really just want a good old snow. And seeing how happy the kids were, and you folks in Atlanta could probably attest to this because you got a few inches of snow, but seeing how happy all the kids were, people tagging me and stuff, and in Columbia, when we got the 45 minutes of snow that we got the other day, it really just makes me wonder how special it would be just to get a pure snowstorm. And I was able to experience that. I was 33 years old in 2010 for my people in South Carolina. You remember that storm in February. We got a pure snowstorm. It was beautiful. It snowed on a Friday night, got several inches of snow. It was all snow, start to finish. And it was one of my best memories. I was a senior in high school. And, these kids these days, from the age of, being a baby to even like 10 years old, have not really experienced a true snowstorm in the Southeast. You in Atlanta just did, but a pure snowstorm. It's rare. It's not common, but man, how special would it be, right? So enough of the side story stuff. I like to go off on that sometimes. But the latest Euro ensemble, okay, this is from overnight. It's really honking the horn at this. We'll start off Friday evening. Timestamps are up here, okay? Friday evening. Okay, signal starts up north. There's a signal for some accumulating snow across the Rockies. We'll start off in the central U.S. and then watch how the signal drops for the south. For example, I'm going to take it all the way through next Friday, the 24th. There's a higher signal for snow and winter weather for Texas, Louisiana, and Mississippi than there is for Arkansas and Missouri. So it tells me one big thing here, suppression. The southerly storm track, cold air press is intense, going to keep the storm track pretty far south. So that's a pretty solid signal, and this doesn't even include ice. Okay, now what about the latest GFS ensemble? And this is still running. I don't know how far out we're going to be able to go on this. And once again, there's that signal for some snow and, Denver, Boulder, against the front range, starting from Wyoming. This happens a lot when you have this Arctic air mass kind of stuff dropping down from the south. A lot of energy associated with it, and you're probably going to squeeze out a lot of snow. But watch as we move into this coming Monday, 6 days from now, we get into Tuesday, then boom, immediately. Watch how this entire area lights up. And remember, this is not a forecast. This is just ensemble guidance. So it blends a bunch of members together. X amount of members might show nothing. X amount of members might show a light to moderate event. And then a few members might show something big. It might be skewing the mean and the average a little bit more. So you got 2, you got 3, you got 2, and then you got 15. That 15 is going to skew it, right? It's the same thing with this. So, look at this. The GFS Ensemble is going crazy right now, and we're just going to take it all the way. Let's just take it all the way into next Thursday. We'll stop it right here. The GFS Ensemble, which in my opinion is probably not as good as the Euro Ensemble. In fact, it isn't. But you see the gap in snow across the middle of the country. And you go to the south, it increases. Once again, this does not include ice or sleet. It might pick up on sleet as snow. I'm not quite sure. I probably need to look into that. But it doesn't include ice. So, that's an impressive. You got an inch to almost 2-inch snowfall mean down here across the deep south states, including Texas. So it's a solid signal. And I'll be honest, as a winter weather fan, I wish it was Friday or Saturday. We were just a little bit closer to this. It just tears my nerves that we're still kind of far out and just dealing with the ups and downs of tracking the last system. Man, it wears down on you, and we're about to do it all over again. Now the Euro Ensemble from overnight for the South. And just remember, the actual Euro, I just showed it to you, showed absolutely nothing. The Euro run shows nothing for the South. It's a whiff, except for like South Texas. Look what it shows here. Same thing. There's that signal for a little bit of interior northeast snow, Great Lakes stuff. Areas that typically get snow this time of year. And then watch how the southern tier of the country lights up. Boom. There it is. That is impressive. It's impressive because, and this goes all the way out, same thing, to next Friday morning. It's impressive to me because the actual operational run shows nothing. But you can tell out of the 51 members that make up the Euro Ensemble, many of the members hit. And some of them hit big. You got over a 2-inch snowfall mean in eastern North Carolina, southeast VA, and a 1 to almost 2-inch snowfall mean getting all the way into the Midlands of South Carolina, even an inch into Augusta. And a pretty solid look into Georgia. And even still a solid look into into the deep south. Okay, so, and I'll do this on the fly real quick. I always forget to pull it up. And just looking at the ice mean, which we can look at, on Pivotal Weather. Pivotal Weather is definitely, Pivotal Weather is a good site to, if you want to go the cheaper route, which I don't blame you one bit, Pivotal Weather is a great site to look at, and you have a lot of access. Just a little tedious to use sometimes. But man, look at this ice average on the Euro Ensemble. It's over a 1/4 inch in the low country of South Carolina, not a forecast. You even have an ice average down into northern Florida. And just look across the Carolinas. This is an ensemble blend. So how many members show freezing rain? It blends it all together, right? I don't know how much of a louder signal you can get at this range for overrunning. Doesn't mean it's a lock to happen. You guys should know that. But man, what a signal for ice. And then let's look at the GFS Ensemble, which based off of what I just saw in the central U.S., it's about to be a loaded run for the southeast. Started off for Saturday morning. Okay, we're going to get a little bit of snow up there and then watch how everything collapses south. Getting into Monday, Tuesday, then there's that time frame. 20th through the 23rd. Look how it begins to light up for the south. And this is probably the most impressive, I would say this is probably one of the most impressive GFS Ensemble runs at this range that we've seen just about all winter. And I'll go all the way, well, it only takes us all the way out to about 10 days out. So it's between now and the next 10 days. Look at this for the southeast. Over a 2-inch mean. Even in portions of Mississippi, it increases in Alabama, definitely increases in the northern half of Georgia. And just to take a closer look at this, guys, this is impressive. Over a 2-inch snowfall average in Columbia. Even an inch. Yeah, it's an impressive look. That's a signal. You call that a signal. Okay, so what I want to watch for is you compare that with the OOZ. I want to keep this look suppressed as possible. So I don't want this blue to shift further north over the next couple days. This doesn't even include ice, guys. That doesn't even include any kind of ice or freezing rain. So you want to keep this suppressed. But yeah. So, incredible signal for winter weather for the south coming up. Whether it's going to dump out west, the southeast, the big question is it going to ride up the eastern seaboard? Are you guys going to get a big storm in the northeast mid-Atlantic? We'll talk about that more if confidence increases on that. But speaking on the pattern, And I've been doing this, and here in the next few days, we'll probably stop doing this as much. But for you new people who are tuning in, if you are, wondering about what's driving this, well, the blues is low pressure, a trough, energy, colder air. And then the warmer colors, the orange, yellows, etc., that's a ridging, high pressure, warmer air. So what you see here is we got this ridge spiking up to Alaska. We got ridging also over the western U.S. and western Canada. We call that a positive PNA. The ridge up into Alaska is a negative EPO. That dislodges cold air, causes a dip in the jet stream, which is right down here. Cold air spilling down, energy coming down the side of this ridge, and associated with the trough itself, embedded into the trough. We also have a pretty active southern stream moving in. So all these little X's, energy from the northern stream, combined with the energy down here, will try to combine together at the dip in the jet stream, okay, which is like right down here. And then you run the risk for a winter storm pretty far south because of how far the jet is really digging just like that. A lot of cold air spilling down. Just an intense press of cold air. Now, we could trend this to like a classic Miller B. For example, you see this look right here, and this is right around the time frame of our winter storm. But if you look at the actual operational GFS, it looks like this. And to me, that's a totally different look. You got energy coming out right here. You got a big cold air supply up here. You got this is about to come off like that, and you got cold air filtering it. It's definitely a different look. And that's what models kind of trended to when we were breaking down the last pattern. They kind of trended towards more of a kind of cut-off trough, if you will. But, hey, if you got this look, you got this dip in the jet, and this is what I'm talking about. This is the confusing part, right? I mean, so dip in the jet coming down like this, lots of energy diving in. But one thing you see right here is you see this kind of clutter right here. This is our southern stream energy coming in. So these arrows connecting with this arrow, dip in the jet, winter storm risk right here for the south. Okay, I'm going to even include northern sections of Florida in this. And I mean, it could be all the way up here too. So yeah, guys, buckle up. A lot to talk about, a lot to break down going forward. At the end of the day, if you're a winter weather fan out west, you're pulling forward the energy to drop further west. If you're a winter weather fan across the southeast, you want kind of a middle ground. You don't want it to drop too far west, or you'll buckle the southeast ridge. And the GFS, as big of a winter storm as it was for everybody, it's kind of the middle ground, right? Some people lose, some people win. Everybody, a lot of people wins, whatever you consider a win. But that's kind of the middle ground, right? If you push the energy too far west again, then you're going to start to deal with, warm air issues in all levels of the atmosphere. If you push it back east a little bit, you're going to lose a bigger winter storm chance across the southern plains. So, yeah. Conditions today, a lot to talk about. We got snow, a swath of accumulating snow moving across areas of the Midwest, a little bit of snow flying around Chicago. Let me know what you're seeing. Lake effect snow continues for Lake Erie, Ontario, a little bit coming off all the other lakes too. And just energy pivoting around inside this trough across the Northeast. Outside of that, guys, there ain't a whole lot else going on. Watches, warnings, and advisories. We do have these cold weather advisories for how cold it is. These special weather statements is for this snow flying around. We got these winter weather advisories for areas of the Great Lakes region, some winter storm warnings continuing, and we still continue to have these lake effect snow warnings south of Buffalo into the Tug Hill Plateau off Ontario for several inches of snow to over a foot of snow. And then we have these freeze warnings out for southern sections of Arizona and just some freeze warnings across some areas of California. As far as any kind of risk for thunderstorms today, there isn't any risk. So excessive rainfall, nothing either. So we're good there. Nothing too crazy as far as the weather with a lot of rain and storms. The southeast today, it's a nice day. Less clouds than say yesterday. It's not going to be brutally cold like it's been. Enjoy it while it lasts. But really, there's nothing to talk about with the southeast. That'll change soon. The northeast, just lake effect energy coming off Ontario and Erie. Also, Lake Huron, bringing some lake effect snows across southern Ontario. And then back it up a little bit. This is getting into this morning. An area of light to moderate snow will pivot through Ohio. And start to get all the way to West Virginia, especially northern sections of the state. Pittsburgh can get a little bit of snow, and by the time we start to get into the evening hours, maybe a little bit of light snow flying around the mid-Atlantic, DC, Baltimore. We'll just get on and off snow showers across the Northeast. And here's how much snow is expected for the New England area. All right, and let's go down to New York. Man, look at this snow south of Watertown. You see this area right here in kind of the orange color, folks. That is, guys, that's over 2 feet of snow in the next 48 hours. Buffalo only an inch. South of Buffalo, potentially over 8 to 16 inches of snow. A little bit of snow outside and just away from the lakes. A couple inches here and there. Binghamton, these places. Rochester, a couple inches. So we will move a little bit further south. PA, Erie, going for around 8 inches over the next 48 hours. 6 inches in Jamestown. And then we will look at Ohio too, and just dusting them out. But there's some light snowfall accumulations. Just put a nice fresh coating of snow with the snow moving in this morning into early this afternoon. The south central U.S., it's a quiet day of weather. Enjoy it. Some moisture will try to start to build into southern Texas, so maybe some rain showers deep down in South Texas. By the time we get into the overnight hours, maybe a widespread light to moderate rain begins to develop to greet our Wednesday morning. But outside everybody else, pretty quiet. There's that band of light snow moving through Indiana, Ohio this morning into this afternoon. We'll continue just to get lake effect snow affecting certain areas of the UP into the lower areas of Michigan. Few to several inches of snow is possible, but just depending on where you are. Then area of snow will move out of North Dakota into northern sections of Minnesota tomorrow morning. But the western U.S., it is quiet. We need some rain in southern Cal for obvious reasons. We just ain't going to get it, at least over the next 24 to 48 hours. So temperatures, this was looking like in the east. You can see there's a boundary of where there's really cold air and around average temperatures for this time of the year for the south. Really cold up here, though. I mean, the Ohio Valley, the Midwest, highs only in the teens today. Brutally cold air. It's a big cutoff for sure. And then out west, this is what it looks like. So pretty cold air out west too. Definitely getting some cold air. So folks, that's all I got. Thank y'all for tuning in. God bless all y'all, and we'll do it again tonight.